Choo choo. Yo, yo, yo. What's up, everybody? And welcome once again to the UnLearnT podcast. I am your host, Ruth Abigail, aka RA.
What's up, friends? It's your girl, Jaquita.
And this is the podcast that is helping you gain the courage to change your mind so that you, yes, you, can experience more freedom.
My Lord.
All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. How are you on this wonderful, I don't know, what's today? Tuesday evening.
Listen, we're out here middle adulting. Okay, it's the end of the semester, so my calendar is full. Okay, calendar is filled up. Right, I forgot what last day of class was. I had to go look at it. I was like, it's Friday. Hallelujah and thank you,
That's your last
Lord.
day of class?
Last day, well, my last day of class was yesterday.
Oh,
Amen.
amen.
Yeah. And so we're closing out this semester. Let me tell y'all something. Somebody talked to me the other day about getting a PhD, and I had to muster up some excitement. I was like, yeah, you should absolutely do it. Okay, listen. All right. If it's for you, it's for you. I was like, don't y'all need to ask me these questions when I'm done. Okay, don't ask me these questions right now because I'm gonna steer everybody away.
Yeah.
All right,
Hey.
but I had to remember in that moment that I'm a destiny builder and not someone who tears down dreams.
There you
Okay,
go. There you go. That's beautiful, Queen. I like that.
so
You're a
yeah,
destiny builder, not
I'm
a
a
dream
destiny
killer.
builder.
I'm a dream killer. I'm okay with
Huh,
killing a dream. It's important.
okay.
Everybody doesn't need to
Um.
do everything. You know what I'm saying?
All right, today, so we're talking about communication. Who Ruth Abigail about to dig herself in a hole. Am I my sister's keeper? Yes, I am. We're going to pivot right on up out of there. Okay, I want you to know Ruth Abigail is a wonderful leader who cares about her people
I do.
and everything that they have going for
I
themselves and in
do.
every way that the Lord wants to build up their lives.
Thank you.
But we are indeed talking about communication.
We
And
are.
Ruth, I think okay, so listen. I have hired a lot of people in my days. I have mentored and coached a lot of people, supervised a lot of people, in my, especially in these middle adult years. When I turned 36, I was like, hey, everybody, settle down, settle down. All right. I'm here to teach you some things. But, I think one thing that I have had to be very aware of is that communication is not just about saying the right things.
Mm-mm.
It is really about understanding people, where they're coming from, what their perspective is, why they're communicating the way that they are, so that you can try to get on a similar page. And it's something that you have to do in every relationship.
Yeah.
Right? Like you don't get to just have this is my style of communicating with people and just communicate with everyone the same way. As you go deeper and deeper in relationships, you and that person have to build up your communication in a way that suits the two of you. And so I think that I have learned in leadership, in friendship, in all relationships, as a minister, as a friend, as a sister, as a daughter, as a whatever, I have had to learn how to both work to understand people as well as making myself understood.
Mm.
Right? A lot of times we assume that people should just understand us because, I get me. Why don't you
Right.
get me? But you have to actually work to be understood.
So I this is I majored in this, you know what I'm saying? Communications. I just want Queen will be talking about her expertise and everything like that. She be throwing that out there. I'd like to throw this out there.
Mhm.
No, I'm just joking. I wouldn't consider myself an expert, but I did.
I
I
honestly
did.
forgot that you majored in
You
communication.
didn't have to say that out loud. Like I feel like that was an unnecessary statement. Dang, Quita. Yeah, I majored in communications.
Ruth Abigail, most people knew you were a music major.
I know.
Nobody, yeah.
Communications was really just to pass the time because I needed more than music. Anyway, so I I loved one of the things that I love about communications though. I actually took this book home. It's called The Art of Rhetoric. And
Mm.
just and our we went to Furman University.
Go
And
dance.
yeah. And so we didn't actually, our communications classes were a little different than most other communications programs at other schools. We really focused on rhetoric and the art of words and messaging. Um, and
Mm-hmm.
so one of the things that I learned about it was, number one, communication is a, it is a two-way street, but also words begin everything. So like everything was started with words. So the first,
Ooh, in the beginning was the
I knew
word.
you would pick it up
Yes.
because I didn't have to. I knew
Yes.
eventually she would pick it up. Um,
Yes.
but I think the thing that I am fascinated with is that, but everything begins with words, but what begins before your words is your, is what's in your head. So,
Mhm.
and people's brains function differently, which makes their words come out differently, which often moves people differently.
Mm.
So, I think when we understand where people are coming from and naturally wired, it will help us to understand why they communicate verbally, how they communicate, and then how that verbal communication translates into action for themselves and for others. Um, and that process is happening all the time, 24/7, every single day to everyone you're with. And
Yes.
and it's such a fascinating phenomenon to me, like, because when we look at these major things that are that happen in our world, we can trace it all back to words.
Mm.
Every single one of them began there. And then you can trace those words back to a human brain
Yeah.
that process something in a unique way to then get words out to have people move and do something.
I think it's so interesting that when I love the way that you are linking communication and words, because I think a lot of how we understand ourselves, how we understand people is about how you have received and internalized words, and then how you then put out
Yeah.
words into the universe. Like that is our greatest form of output, is our language,
Yeah.
and the ways that we speak to each other. And I love that when we think about communication, and when we think about how we are all communicating with each other, and how we're both again receiving and internalizing that communication, and then outputting that communication. There's a lot of room for things to go wrong.
Oh man.
There's a lot of room for misinterpretations. There's a lot of rooms for that's not what I really meant. And I think a lot of times what people get confused with is intent versus impact,
Yeah.
right? I intended to communicate one thing, but because of the way I said it, or because of the way that my words landed, it had a different impact than I may have intended.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you are not dealing with the fallout of your intent. You are dealing with the fallout of the impact.
That's right.
And I think what we want to try to help with today is how can we soften some of the impact that we're having on
Mm.
people. And really all it takes is for us to be more mindful, more decisive, and more aware. And we talk a lot on the show because as middle adults, it is important to have a great deal of self awareness. But when you talk about emotional intelligence, right,
Hmm.
I always tell people there's four tiers, right? There's the self knowledge portion where you are growing in self awareness, and then you grow in self management. But once you get past self awareness and self management, you are supposed to become socially aware, right? You're supposed to be able to pick up on what's happening in a room, or what's happening in an organization, or what's happening in a family or in a group of people. And you are supposed to take your self aware, self managed self into that situation and cause things to be better. You're supposed to be able to sort things out. As a leader, you have to be able uh, to both take in what's happening in your organization and then help to manage it.
Yeah.
That's emotional intelligence, is your ability to be socially aware, to be aware of what's happening within your group of people and what's happening within your organization, and then to help to manage it. And that might mean you having to step into conflict. That might mean you having to recommunicate ideas that may have been communicated before, but somewhere down the line it got missed. And so I think that it's important, as a baseline, I think you need to know where you're starting, but then you also need to be aware of who you're leading and where they're coming from. And friends, that is the work that we're hoping to introduce you to today.
So, full disclosure, this is Quita's. Quita is going to introduce to us some concepts, right? A book that she loves. What and so I am less familiar with this, but here's what I thought could be fun. I just came up with this just now. Um
We're going to play a game.
well, I don't know about a game, but we're just going to see. Okay, so we're going to describe some things, and I'm going to take an attempt at describing it, and Quita's going to tell me whether or not I'm right.
Oh, that's so cute. I love it. That is adorable. That is
I'm
adorable.
because I, like you, have probably you. I don't know, maybe you have, but many of you may have never heard of this before, and so I'm going to attempt to be the I am the novice, but I'm going to communicate as the novice, and then the expert is going to correct the novice. All right, on what I think these things might mean and implicate.
Precious. Let's
That'll
do it.
work. All right, cool.
Yes.
So hold on. Why don't you introduce the book?
Okay,
What's the
yeah, let
book
me do a
called?
general introduction. Okay, so friends, listen, you have heard of the love languages, but have you ever heard of the life languages? Speaking
Ah, look
of
at that.
love, this is a book by Fred and Anna Kendall. Don't worry about why my book is so weathered and torn, okay? Don't worry about it, because I gets down with this one. Okay, I read it from cover to cover. I was introduced to this book at the church I was attending to in Nashville. He actually had the authors come and speak to us. And after they spoke about it, I went in the hallway, I went in the vestibule, if you will, and I bought the book. I was like, I need that. And most of you may know I'm a personality enthusiast. Okay. I like all things personality, all things assessment, all things that are going to give me more knowledge and understanding about how I work, how people work, how groups work. This book, what is so fantastic about it, and I know I'm really selling it. I don't even know if you can buy this book anymore, and I apologize if I'm amping it up. And I think you can get you a copy on Amazon or eBay or something. Look at one of them used bookstores and get this, because they've kind of changed the program a little bit, and I still gets down with the book. Okay, it's called Speaking of Love, and it's actually life languages, ways that we communicate, who we are, and how we operate, and how we are systematically wired to navigate life in different ways, right?
Yep.
So the system, there are 7 life languages. They're broken up into 3 categories. You have your emotive life languages, there's 2 of those. Then you have your cognitive life languages, there are 3 of those. And then you have your kinetic life languages, and there are 2 of those, right? And so our emotive life languages are going
Wait,
to.
wait, 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 wait,
Okay.
wait. Hold
All
on,
right.
hold
All
on,
right.
hold on,
All
hold
right.
on.
All right. All right.
See, she going.
Also, just for a note, Joy said the book is $28 on Amazon. Limited stock, order soon. You want this. Okay. Trust me. You want this.
Okay, so emotive. For those of you that not sure what that means, it means emotional. Okay, and
Got
so it's gonna be fun. Okay, so we have all
it.
right. So like she said, there's 2 of them in there. All right. So in this category, these are people who typically feel first and communicate how they feel first. Is that
Mm-hmm.
is that right? Okay.
Yes.
And so the 2 that are in that category are responder and an influencer. Spoiler
Yes.
alert, Quita is an influencer. She definitely, but and she'll break it down a little bit. Like influencers kind of think and feel at the same time. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay. And responders typically feel first. So what we want you to do is try to find yourself in these languages and really kind of like think, okay, is could this be me? And what are some of the ways in which I see this show up in the way I communicate?
Perfect. So when you think responders, right? These are the and I want you to really situate, right? These are people who, when they are faced with a situation or when they are encountering something and they're trying to understand that situation, they are processing through their emotions first, or they're going to feel the emotions of other people in the room first. Responders are top tier at this. Usually people, when they think of responders, they think of people who are pastoral in
Mm,
nature, people who are empathetic, who are really connected to empathetic people, people who say, oh, I'm an empath, right? I just feel everyone's feelings, right? And I'm always processing feelings, right? Those people are normally responders. They are going to feel first, right? They're going to feel the emotions in the room. They're going to feel what everybody else might be feeling, and they can describe in greater detail than maybe some of the other categories what people are feeling, right? So when
mhm,
they're communicating, they are communicating in an emotive language, right? I feel like this is heavy. I feel like we need, like that the
mhm,
people are despondent, are sad. I feel like people are angry, right? I feel, right? They're going to communicate in a way that seems to always be pointing to the feelings and the emotional responses that are in the room. That is really, really true of the responder, right? So they can be affectionate, they have unconditional acceptance, they really value harmony and nurturing, right? And so, kind of different from me, which I'm an influencer, because we are feeling and thinking kind of simultaneously, right? So we're a little bit more expressive of we tend to intellectualize our feelings a little bit. And so when we're communicating, we might talk about feelings, but we're gonna do it in a way that's gonna be really interconnected with our thinking,
mhm.
right? And it's gonna be a long time before we act, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
with
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
All right, for
Yep.
those of you who are just listening, I just gave her a death stare.
Yep.
Okay, cuz hush your mouth now, hush your mouth. But influencers, when we're talking, we're very charismatic, very enthusiastic, very dynamic, right? And so we get people caught up in our energy so
Mm.
that they might not ask too many questions about why we're not doing nothing, right? So, because everybody's like, yeah, 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 this is great, this is great, right? Because we are encouragers, right? We
Mm.
are, and what I love about this book, and again, $28 on Amazon, worth every dollar. Okay, because I didn't even know they still were printing these. So if you can get it, go get it. And it might be cheaper on like a Kindle or something like that. But the thing that I love about this book is that for each type they give a spiritual archetype, right? And I think for the responder, it is the good Samaritan, right? Like
Mm.
somebody who's they're going to respond to the needs of the people. But it's really very much like emotive. Like when we think of the good Samaritan, we think, man, that's a good person who responds to the needs of people. That's a responder. A who am I, an influencer?
Influencer. Yep.
Thank you.
No
Uh,
problem.
appreciate it. Middle adult, right? An influencer is really my spiritual archetype is Peter,
Mm.
right? It
Mm.
is,
Mm.
charismatic, might jump the gun, right? But was really always talking, always had something to say because he was thinking and feeling at the same time. And so sometimes the stuff that was coming out of his mouth, it wasn't fully processed yet, right? Like because it was both his feelings and his emotions
Mm.
being processed together. And so I tell people I am an extroverted thinker, meaning that I think as I talk. So when I communicate, you're getting it fresh off the dome. I have not sat down and processed these thoughts yet,
Mm.
right? These are my thoughts that are happening in real time,
Yeah.
right? And so a lot of times, and I think it's important, because there's probably a lot of action oriented people, a lot of cognitive people who are out there planning their work and working their plan, okay, and who are very intentional about communicating their thoughts and their ideas, are move, 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 hustle, hustle, hustle culture, like, oh, I'm just moving out, I'm booked and busy and I'm doing this, this, and that, right? And a lot of times when we talk about the emotive languages, right, they can get looked down on until you need us. Okay, until somebody actually does need to be counseled, right? Until somebody does need to be walked through their emotions and how their emotions have created the hindrance in their life. You've been suppressing them emotions,
Uh-huh.
right? And not thinking through them emotions. And now you need somebody who specializes in emotional communication,
It's
right? And so,
yeah. It's tough. Go ahead. Being as not this.
again, if you're listening and not watching, I just rolled my eyes. I felt the need to narrate that. But I think it's important to note that everybody, when we're talking to each other, even I'm an influencer. I think we just confirmed that Joy is a responder, right? Like Joy is gonna be the first one if you have a need. Joy is the person I call when I'm like, I just want to talk about my feelings. I just want to sit. I want to talk about my feelings, and I want to be cuddled in my feelings. I don't want to be challenged. Joy will challenge me, but Joy will feel my feelings with me, and that
Mm,
helps me to express my feelings,
mm,
right? And so I don't do that with Ruth Abigail. I don't call
mm-mm.
Ruth Abigail to express my feelings.
Nope.
What? Oh,
No.
what? Why
No.
would I do that? Right.
Yeah.
And so when you are, again, that's what I'm saying, when you're building these communication relationships with people, you're going to people for different things. I think it's important that we build some premises about why.
Yeah.
Right? Like, why is it so easy to talk to Joy about my emotions and my feelings? It's because she is natural at being able to speak an emotive language,
Yeah.
right? Whereas Ruth Abigail is much more cognitive.
Yes. Yes, that's a good segue there. All right, let's get to the cognitive people,
Get in there, Ruth
okay?
Abigail.
Because that is me. So, cognitive, big word for thinking, okay? So, those of us in this category, communicate our thoughts first, and we understand our thoughts first. We usually act on our thoughts first. Then we have thoughts, and then we typically act, and then we feel. So feeling is the last on that totem pole for those of us who
For
are,
some.
for some,
For some.
for some,
Yeah.
for me. And so that's definitely me. I so like I think to Quinn's point, to me, from for me, one of the things that I've learned to recognize that I need to I have to intentionally I guess allow in my communicative space is when people use language like I feel this, I feel like it does, it just, especially when I feel like is followed by something that can be that has a data point, because now it's like, well, how come you have to just feel it? Can't you know it? Like, can't you just say I think, or I this is like, but I understand like that is just, it is a way of communicating that is different. And for a long time, it bothered me when people used to do that. It just grated my nerves. Like, what is all this feeling for? Like, why are we communicating that way? This is not a feeling. Some of
Mm.
this stuff is actually true or it can't be proven. So stop saying it. Who cares? So like, I mean, but that's my issue. One of my problems is sensitivity, is something I have to grow in.
You see why
So
I don't talk to Ruth Abigail
if
about my
if
feelings.
if y'all if y'all could tell, I apologize. But I think that understanding those who are emotive, and having two best friends who fall into that category, um, has challenged me as a cognitive person, because I'm challenged to not just feel my feelings, but feel theirs, and respond to their feelings, not just with my thinking. Um, because that doesn't
Mm.
always translate well. And like Quita said, it's not always time for that. And so like my thinking is not always welcomed at certain moments in the conversation. And I it's hard for me to understand why, but understanding who they are helps me to do that. So a lot of times
Yeah.
I keep my mouth shut. Because it's like, that's just not, I can't, I'm not gonna I feel like what I'm about to say is not about to be received well because we're not there.
Listen,
You know what I mean?
I will say, one, Joy and I both really appreciate your trying, and it has been noted through the years. And there have Joy is throwing up a heart sign for Ruth Abigail right now because she feels that deep in her soul. But I wanna challenge a little bit of what you said, because I think that there is a healthy balance. Right. And I know that
Well,
you're not saying I don't ever respond and I don't
no,
ever,
no, 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 no.
give, but I just want for our audience, when we're thinking about how we are approaching people and we're having different languages and we're and naturally you're going to communicate in a way, right? Relationship is about give and take,
Hmm.
and relationship is about realizing that we need each other,
Yeah.
right? And that there is a level. I mean, Ruth Abigail and I enjoy, we're not best friends for no reason, right? And Ruth and I spent, the first, how many, every at least 4 years of our lives trying to change each other.
Oh yeah.
Like, at least all of the college years we were like, I am in your life to change you into
Make you
being
more
more
like
like
me.
me.
That's it.
Yeah, to make you more
Hmm.
like me.
Hmm.
And I think that what we have learned through the years is that I need you as a buffer
Hmm.
to me, right? Because you help me to understand where I have not developed
Hmm.
yet. Right? You have to be around people who are different than you so that you can develop other sides of you. I'll
Correct.
never be as cognitive forward as Ruth Abigail,
Hmm.
but if I allow her to impact my life, that side of me can be developed.
Yeah.
Right? And so it is necessary, but it has to be developed with respect to who I am and with respect to what I need. And
Right.
where we mess up in communication with one another a lot of times, and I'm by no means trying to make myself the communication expert here. So this is very much a conversation and
Hmm.
not a dialogue. But I think that where we mess up a lot of times in communicating is that we feel like the only way we can be successful in communication is if I help you to be like me.
Right.
I need to communicate to you who I am, what I need, and why I need it. Like, you should be able to communicate that to the people you're close to. You
Hmm.
should be like, "Hey, listen, this is how I function. This is what that might look like and how that might appear in different situations. And this is what I need from you when I'm in this space or when I'm in that space." And I've done enough studying of myself to know here are some reasons why. Let me give you some historical context and background so that you don't think that I built myself in a vacuum.
Yeah.
Right. And so you have to be able to give people context. And so I in no means think that it's ever necessary for any of us to completely become new people or become different people.
No.
But I do think that we have to become better people.
Yeah.
And better means allowing people to challenge you. And so, for Ruth Abigail, we had to challenge Ruth Abigail. Hey, you're gonna have to respect these emotions, because I'm not changing who I am as an emotive first person.
Yeah.
Actually, mine is kind of like right in the middle, because again, I emote and think at the same time, but my thinking is also emotive. So, but it is very much it is very much cognitive in the way that I'm like, let's think about our feelings.
Yeah.
Not let's think about serious things.
Yeah.
And so I think it's respect, man.
It is.
Respect.
It is, and you have to respect people, and you have to like she was saying. You can't seek to change them. It really is, or seek to um uplift or uh, yeah, uplift or see you as above. So I think like that is something that I've definitely had to grow in. Is like, even if I do understand people who feel, I tended to put them on a lower scale because
Mhm.
because it's like, yeah, that's what y'all do, but when you get up to my level, you'll think more. Like, you know what I'm saying? And that's really in my immaturity. That's how I was.
Ah, yeah.
And I think I think that can be the case for people who are underdeveloped, even
Mhm.
in whatever area this is. If you're
Yeah.
underdeveloped in these languages, you will tend to devalue the others that you aren't, and be like, hey, I understand you, yeah, but I'm constantly looking
Mhm.
down on you, even though I say I understand it. um and
That's
so
good.
the the three that are in this cognitive space, the first one is a strategist, the next one contemplator, and the next one is a giver.
Mhm.
And so I am a strategist, I believe. From everything that I understand about this, I think that's where I fall: think, act, feel. um and then the contemplator thinks and feels at the same time, then they act. And then it's kind of like the same as the influencer, except it's like flipped. I'm just
Yeah.
saying that, right? Um, and then a giver typically thinks and then feels and acts at the same time. So I'll let Quita break all that down. But I think like I I just it's see how I even you can hear it in our language. I say I think all the time. I'm
Mhm.
listening to myself do this. Whereas Quita, if you notice, will say I feel like all the time. And a lot of times we are communicating similar things, but it's coming from two different places.
Yes.
And and so when we understand that, and I understand she's it's just a different way of saying something that I'm kind of coming to, but I'm coming at it and coming to it from a different lens.
Yeah.
But the outcome, a lot of times we can end up in the same place. It's just a different pathway towards it.
But see, that is what has been the thread of our friendship.
Yeah.
We have always, I was talking to somebody and they were like, you and Ruth Abigail must be really similar. And I said, huh? Huh? Me and Ruth? Like,
Nah,
because I think we have built this friendship on the basis of we are very different people.
because we
Right.
are.
But I think you're absolutely correct. We often come to the same conclusions.
We do. We
Like
do.
we often think and believe some of the same things, and
Yeah.
especially when it comes to talking about leadership, identity development, anything involving just leading people and developing people and becoming better people ourselves. Right, those are things that as we talk through it, we're like, oh, we're really aligned on this, but we are coming at it, like you said, from completely different perspectives.
Yeah.
And I think that that is where you said something so key, and I'm gonna get to these archetypes in a minute, but you said something so key in that you at one point were waiting. You were like, all right, yeah, but when you get to where I'm at, you'll think more. Right. And that is
Yeah.
what we as people in general do to people.
Yeah.
We say, okay, yeah, they just not where I'm at. They're not going through what I'm going through. They're not experiencing things at the level that I'm experiencing. So they can still operate in this elementary way
Right.
while I, the superior,
Right.
am having to, use my logic and reason. Right. And I think it's the judgment that we have of one another
Mm-hmm.
that prevents us from seeing the true beauty and gift that we are to each other.
Agreed.
And we both, I mean, and I'm not saying that's a cognitive thing. I had to get over that too,
Mm-hmm.
because as a emotive first person, I was really like, see, she don't get the flow of the spirit because she thinking too much. Like I feel like I can better flow with the spirit, because the spirit is just following. Yes, it makes sense, but it's all hunches and gut feelings, and yeah, I'm with Jesus. And there was a level of high criticism that I had.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all right, Ruth, take your time here
Mm-hmm.
now. Take your time. Take your time. Right. But there, and I had to get over that. I had to get over that. Anywho, all right. So the cognitive archetypes, I'm going to run through these quickly. The strategists, these are your visionaries. These are often the people who I think are going to be like at the head of organizations, because they are the people pointing the way forward. And they do that a lot of times by being problem solvers, by being able, because they are thinking first, right? And they are not muddying their thinking with the other elements, right? And so I think what's really important to know about all these archetypes is what people need time for,
Mm,
right? A lot of times we try to rush people through their process, right? But if you're a responder, you need time to feel.
mm,
Don't come and try to explain my feelings to me and tell me that this is what I need to be doing and give me a list of actions and here's how you can solve this problem if you just do X, Y, and Z. You have to allow them time to feel their feelings, right? You have to allow a strategist time to think through everything that they're experiencing, because this is how they are literally making sense of what's happening on the inside of them, right? They're going to sit, they're going to think, they're going to journal, they're going to process it,
mm-hmm.
right? And we have to give people time to do that. And
Yeah,
so it's important as you are communicating with people, what are you giving people time to do? It's
that's good.
important that you know that,
That's
right?
good.
For me, you
That's
got to
good.
give me time. I'm going to intellectualize things at first.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to be like, man, that sounds really good. But if you really know me, you need to get me to my feelings.
That's right.
Like you need to get me to, like, Jaquita, you ain't that smart, brush all that away. What are you really feeling?
Yeah,
Okay. Now, because it is not until I process my feelings that I'll be ready to move
that's right.
and ready to act. Right. And but I'll thank you all day. I'll be like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, but listen, because when the da happen and then
Mm-hmm.
da, right? And so you have to know what you're giving people time to do, right? And so a contemplator, right? Their thinking and their feeling is also interweb, but in a much more uh intellectual contemplative way, right? They are going to be more kind of internal processors, right? Whereas I'm very much an external processor. They're going to be much more of an internal processor. And so they might not readily communicate their thoughts and feelings to you, right? It's not going to come out as quickly or as
Right.
easily.
Right.
You're going to have to give them time to, one, figure out what it is that they want to communicate, and then provide a safe space for them to communicate that in,
Yeah.
right? And so I think what we're trying to express here, and what we're trying to give you just a foundation to be able to do, is to know what is it that we need to do for people to feel safe with us in
Mm-hmm.
communication,
Yeah.
because I think that's the biggest thing a lot of times.
I think what you were my father is a contemplator.
Hmm.
He is that guy, and I
I said
it's
that like I know him really well.
you.
Like, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, I mean, he
But he
is.
is.
He is, and it's funny because there's a very different that we're in the same category, but we really are very different in this way.
Hmm.
And when you were talking, the thing that uh kind of I'm sitting here picturing when he hears something that moves him, and you could tell he's thinking and feeling at the same time. This is what he does.
Hmm.
He'll do that. Mm,
I've witnessed this.
mm. And
Yeah.
like you can, and I just and when you as you were talking, I'm sitting here like, man, that is so. Like if you find yourself really feeling something, but you're thinking about, like it's hitting your head as much as it's hitting your heart. Like it's just
Yeah.
like this thing, and you almost there are no words. You don't know what to say yet, but it's
Yeah.
doing something inside of you. And one thing that I have made the mistake of, because this is the first contemplator I could think of in my life, is require words at a moment where that's not what he has. And I've noticed that. And so it's like, because my words come pretty quick because I'm a thinker and I
Hmm.
know I'm verbalizing it and I've
You're
thought it.
you're an external thinker. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so I'm a verbal person. Like I'm gonna talk to you.
Hmm.
I wanna think it out. That's not who he is, and that's not typically contemplators. Like they are not. They are thinking deeply, but feeling deeply. Their words are not there, and
Yeah.
so even when there are high, highs and lows in their personally in their life, I have again made the mistake of requiring words when that's not what they
Mm.
have to give.
Yeah.
And feeling like they're holding back, and it's like they're not holding back, they're just going through their process, they need time.
Yeah.
um and then a lot of times words are few, and they're very pointed and clear, but few.
Mhm. Yeah.
And it's like, you get what you get, don't ask for no more, this is what I got, this is what I'm giving you.
I also think it's important to know, and I'm not getting this from the book, I'm just getting this from my experience. But I'm pretty sure, yep, if I read through it. Yep, 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 yep. Okay. So in this book, there is a chart. This is what we're referencing here. And the chart gives you three major character descriptions, kind of the order of how they're thinking, feeling, and acting. What they need from partners and from people they're in close relationships with. It also gives you the three levels of distress and warning signals. And as you were talking, I was like, I bet the contemplator, when they are in distress, they will withdraw completely.
Yes.
Right. And if you keep demanding, like, I need words, why won't you communicate with me? Tell me, tell me, tell me, tell me, tell me. It says that they will feel rejected and unloved, or goes to other extremes and feels smothered, pushes others away, withdraws, and may abuse by isolating. Right.
Mm,
You are going to send them into their cocoon.
yeah.
Right. And they can get stubborn in that thing. Right.
Yeah.
Like they done, you can't love them back out as quickly as you push them in.
Right.
Right. Like, and so I think that as you are navigating, dealing with people who may be at different levels of communicating, and are communicating in different ways, you got to know who you talking to,
Gotta know who you're
man.
talking to.
Know those whom you labor among.
Mm,
You gotta it takes a high level of maturity to be able to say, okay, I like to express myself, and but I realize that expression is not going to be your first response,
mm-hmm.
and I'm going to give you space. And contemplators require a lot of
A lot of
space.
space.
I know a few contemplators in my life
A
as
lot of
well.
space. Yeah.
Right. And they require a lot of space.
Yeah.
And they may not sit down and reason with you. Right. They may not sit down and say, all right, let's understand this thing together. Right. They may have to go away and figure their stuff out and then come back to the table and say, this is what I got. Here's what you have. And it's gonna be at a much lower level. They not finna do all that jibber jabber. We not finna do the yelling and the going back and forth and the chaos, and they not finna do it.
Yeah.
Right? Because that is overwhelming to them. Right? Because again, while you are over communicating, you are also overstimulating, because they're trying to think, they're doing all of their internal processing while you are launching stuff at them.
Yeah.
Right? You are just hitting them jab after jab after jab, and they're trying to catch everything you're throwing at them, and they're not ready to express it. And so I think the first
Mm,
thing we can do is we can believe people. You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? When they tell you what they need, if
Yeah.
they tell you, hey, I'm just gonna need some space
Mm-hmm.
to really sit down and really understand how I'm feeling and how I'm navigating this. I just need, like, leave me alone. I just need 10 minutes. You need to give people that 10 minutes. But it's easier to do when you understand why they need it.
You know, I am coming to a revelation now again.
Yeah, take your time.
I I think I have a kid who's like that, who's a contemplator.
Mm.
And
Mm. Mhm.
I yep, I do. I do.
Yeah.
I do. I
Yeah.
definitely do. And that is that, man, that can be tough, because especially
Yeah.
with children, because some like because I think, and I love what you
Mm.
said, like, believe them, because we don't believe children very
We
often.
don't.
We
We
don't.
say, "I'll tell you what you need."
Exactly. Right, 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 right. Like, you don't, yeah, you don't get a voice. And it's like, no, they will tell you what it is that they need. You may not like it, like, and you might be like, because we have so much control over their space and environment and schedule, that it's like, you need to keep up with me. But
Mhm.
then they
Ooh.
really are they are, and of course they're underdeveloped because they're children, but they need what they need too. And
Yeah.
if you respect what your children need and try to locate them in this life languages universe, I think your communication with them would be easier, would become easier and more understandable. Like,
Yeah.
and their communication with you, to your point you said earlier, the safety they feel, I think you'll find that they will find more safety in being able to communicate with you when you give them what they need by understanding who they are and how they communicate.
Mhm.
And so if you have a contemplator as a kid and you ask them what's wrong and they say nothing, or they say I don't know, don't push
Mhm.
them, let it go.
Yeah.
My tendency is to
Or
push. My tendency is to be like, no, 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 no,
mhm.
like, no, no, no. Think about it, man. Come on, come on, come on. Like, I've done it. I'm totally guilty of doing it. But it's like, no, just leave it alone. And it bothers me because it's like, no, I want to know now. Because I want to think about what's going on, and then I want to be prepared to do what I gotta do. But
Yeah.
that's not where he's at.
I also think what can be helpful is creating a shared language, and giving people the tools to communicate in different ways,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, and so I'm a big fan of that emotional wheel. You know,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
if you
yeah,
don't have the language, find it.
yeah,
What on this wheel are you
yeah.
feeling right now,
Mm,
right? Because I think it's important for him and for all children to know how to name, right, what it is that they're feeling,
for
and
sure.
because so that they can begin to understand and continue to explain what it is that they need, right? Because the more he can explain it to you, the more you'll be like, okay, yeah, you're right, let
Mm,
me back off, right? And so I think, children are born with, and this is another thing I love about the book. Again, this is Speaking of Love by Fred and Anna Kendall. Again, there is a website, the Life Languages website, and you can pay $49 to take an assessment. But I will tell you, I read the book. And if you see, this is the influencer section. This is the introduction. These are the next pages of me highlighting. I know everybody's not watching, but I highlighted almost every single line in my section because it became immediately apparent to me who I was. And so I recommend the book. The other thing that I love about this book is that it talks about how these life languages are gifts, and it relates it to the gifts that are mentioned in Romans. I believe it's Romans 12, where there's 7 gifts of the spirit. Where it's like, whether there's prophesying, wait on your prophecy, whether you have the gift of mercy, or I think the gift of administration. Like, there are gifts listed there, and it relates each of these to a gift.
mm-hmm.
And I think when we recognize that who our children are, how they process things, how they orient themselves in life, it is their gift,
Mm,
right? Like, being a contemplator is not an inconvenience, it is a
yeah,
gift.
yeah.
Right. It is a gift for somebody to be able to take in everything. And when they spend time with it, I mean, if you've ever heard Ruth Abigail's father preach, you will see the gift of what letting somebody contemplate produces, because he is a master storyteller. He is a master at integrating, life and scripture and into a way that is both practical and inspiring,
Yeah,
right? And
that's real.
that is a gift. That's the
Mm,
gift of the contemplator,
yeah,
right? The
that's real.
gift of the contemplator is that when they give you a product, it is a
It is.
fully realized world changing thing, right? And
Mm,
they don't give little by
mm,
little. They give in these really big productive
they
ways,
do.
right? And
Oh
so
man.
I think it's important that when we're talking about these life languages, we're talking about people's gifts. We're not just talking about, oh yeah, this is the way you do things because you like to think, and then you might,
Mm,
feel something, and then eventually you act, and that's what get on my nerves. No, 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 no. This is a person's gift. And the way when people give you the gift of who you are, of who
mm,
they are, you have to treat it like it's valuable.
Yeah.
And I think as we get into these middle adult years, Hunty, okay, what we not dealing with is people not treating me like I'm valuable, right? What I'm not finna deal with too much too often, okay, is people not recognizing or realizing the gift. You're gonna lose access to people,
Yeah.
right? If we don't figure out how to communicate and get on the same page with people, you're gonna lose people who were supposed to make you better,
Mm.
right? And people who you were supposed to have an impact on,
Yeah. That's
right?
facts.
And I think I can look through my life and be like, dang, I lost some people along the way.
Mm.
And I don't know if I was supposed to lose them.
Yeah.
Now some of them, you know. But a lot of them I'm like, dang,
Yeah.
maybe I might get another chance right there, you know. So I think that's important.
That's good. Let's do the giver real quick and let's go to kinetic.
Okay, give her real quick. These are people who are very generous, very thoughtful, very responsible people. So their thinking, while it is very contemplative, is also very much planning how they are going to impact the lives of people,
Mm.
right? So they want to build things, right? They want to build systems that help people, that give back to people, right? So they're going to think, they're going to be really but their thinking is more practical.
Mm.
It's more, how can I produce something that will be good for people? When I think of giver, I think of our friend Janae. Hey, Nene. Because Janae, I used to live with Janae, and Janae would think before she felt her act. And Janae would be like, hey, I brought this friend over, and I really think I'm supposed to mentor her and be a positive part of her life. So she's going to be coming to all of our events, all of our friend time, right? And then it wasn't until like Janae had these people tagging along that she began to think about, hey, how do I feel about this actually? How's this impacting my life, right? Like, and so like in her mind, like she's like, okay, I created a plan, and they really believe in their plans of impact and how their plans are going to make the lives of people better. They're often really really good with financial resources, and will give anything they can to make people's lives better, but they don't always consider the impact of that on themselves and other people. So those are the givers.
That's good. Okay. Now, last but not least, we have our kinetic people, and that's a big word
My
for action.
Lord.
All right. Lights, camera, action. All right. They're about the
Action camera lights.
action. Right. You're right. Action, camera, lights. Yes. They are all about the action. They want to see stuff done. They don't want to don't be talking too long. Don't be thinking too hard. Let's get to moving. All right. So
Mhm.
that's those are your people. You have two of those in that category. You have the mover and you have the doer, which when I first read that, they sound so similar. Like it's like,
Mm.
what is the difference between a mover and a doer? Like, I don't understand the difference.
Yeah.
But there is a difference. And so movers think more directors, doers think actors. Is that a good way of
Mm,
saying it?
yeah, actually,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
I
All
was
right.
gonna say, I think the biggest difference is assertiveness,
Okay.
right? It
Sure.
is, it is, it is movers move like everything is an emergency,
Mm,
right? Like they move like everything is critical, which is why they act first, because they tend to always know what to do.
mm,
Right? When you call somebody and they're like, and you're like, man, I got this situation, and they are deeply invested and they say, you need the X, Y, and Z, right? They speak in a kinetic language, right? ER physicians, right? The example that's used in the book, I believe, talks about how there was a kid playing in the road and they needed to get out of the way of the car and they weren't going to see the car in time, and so like the person who was a mover threw a ball at them and said, come here,
uh,
right? Because it's like, I have to do something immediately, right? And so they didn't think that through. They were just
yeah.
like, boom, act. And then afterwards, it's like processing, okay, like I had to move because there was a lot to do. When I think ER physicians, I think of, what's that show, Joy? The Pit,
The
right?
pit.
If you watch The Pit, like it's fast moving, it's action, it's people looking at a situation and knowing what to do. We don't have time for thoughts and feelings. All
Right.
right. We need
Right.
you to be assertive. We need you to get in there and we need you to do what needs to be done.
Yeah.
Right. And so you might be very creative on the go and you might not be able to explain why you're doing what you're doing.
Mhm. Mhm.
Right. And so they tend to be great visionaries. And movement for them is exciting, right? It's I got a plan, I got a vision. We're about to move forward with this thing, and it's gonna change the world,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Sometimes they struggle to get people to go with them, right?
Mm.
They need some influencers,
Yeah.
right? They need some responders to help them understand that yes, you do have a beautiful vision and a beautiful plan, and yes, the way that you move makes a lot of sense to you, but it don't make sense to nobody else. And you need people around you that can interpret more than just action,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You actually do need to understand feelings. I cannot tell you, and this is for my emotive people. Hello, my name is Jaquita, and I'm with you. Okay, I got your back. I cannot tell you how, for most of my adult life, I was told, you need to get over your feelings, right? You getting stuck in your feelings. You are tripping over feelings, and the Lord is not processing feelings
Mm.
around here. And then it wasn't until later that I realized actually he is. Actually, the Lord does care about my feelings, and not my feelings in a very emotional way, right? But in my feelings in a very like, you can, just like we can give our thoughts and our minds and our bodies over to God, you can give your emotions to God.
Absolutely.
Right. And I think that that's something that movers have to learn, because you do feel stuff after you have moved, right? And they tend to act and feel at the same time, but they don't tend to process those feelings
Mm.
until much later when they
Mm.
start to think about what happened,
Mm.
right? And so there is a long time where they are acting, right? Because acting happens quickly,
Yeah.
feeling happens much slower, and
Mm.
that's what they're thinking through their feelings about what's happening during all this fast action, right? Doers are much more at a reliable pace. They are dutiful, they are resourceful, they are conscientious, they dedicated, right? I know some people, the people who at the church, they doing everything,
Yeah.
right? Like they
Yeah.
they getting it done. They
Yeah.
they they always on a task,
Mm.
right? And they love servants. Think Mary and Martha. Martha in the back serving, right? Just killing it. Just, all right, Jesus, I'm gonna do this, then I'm gonna do this. I got the stuff on the stove. I'm about to mop the floor.
Mm.
All right, then I'm gonna take these curtains because they didn't got dusty. So I'm gonna go ahead and dust these curtains off, and then I'm gonna clean these. I let me tell you something. I didn't realize until like my 30s. I was always supposed to be cleaning baseboards. My Lord, right?
Hilarious.
I don't even know if I had baseboards growing up. I got to look back at the house to see if we had some baseboards, right? But they're very dutiful and very conscientious of what needs to be done, and
Yeah.
so they're always doing. And they may not, because they're always doing, they may not be expressing feelings, thoughts, and emotions to
Yep.
you. They
Yep.
and oftentimes you may have to start doing with them to really communicate with them. If you're not walking alongside them as they're doing, you're gonna miss opportunity to communicate, because they're
Yeah.
putting all of their energy into their effort, right? And they're not really they may not have as much energy for you when they're done doing. So
This
you
is
may have to join them.
very interesting. So again, I'm just gonna, I don't know this as well as Quita, but I do know my own life. So in the house that I'm in, we have a strategist, a contemplator, and a doer. Okay. My
Mhm.
husband is a doer through and
Yeah,
through. I'm sitting here reading
yeah.
this stuff and it's like, yo, dang, like that is him through and through. One of the things that's funny, like we've started doing, is he is I have had to allow him without feeling guilt around this. Like he is the doer around the house. He will fold the clothes, do the laundry, he'll sweep up, he'll mop, he will make sure, he'll be like, oh, what is that? We need to clean this, we need to do this. Like he is, I'm like, and me, he will just do it. I will think about how to get it done. And
Mm.
oftentimes he's done it before I could think about how to get it done.
Wow.
And so, to your point, it is a gift. I need to embrace the gift. Hey, you
Yes.
don't need to think, but what do I need to think about? I think about the budget. That's a think. It's interesting. I
Abigail's favorite thing to think about, actually.
Hey, I ain't gonna lie about it. So I will think through it. He is a just tell me what I need to do. What do I need to do? That he says that a lot. What do I need to do? And for me, it's like I need to have thought about it so I can answer that question. And so one of the things is how we've learned how to communicate about just about everything. Like, hey, tell me
Mhm.
what I need to do. All right, hold on. Let me get back to you. Let me think through it. And then I'll let you know what needs to
Mm.
happen. Right. And then he
Mm.
makes it happen. Um, and so I think like that's beautiful. We've also like I love what you said, and I just want to. I think this is true. Sometimes you have to be alongside them doing something, right? And
Mhm.
so we cook a lot. We're in the kitchen a lot, and we have these old wooden chairs that we don't know what to do with. So we just put one in the kitchen, and typically, he'll be doing. He does the dishes most of the time, and
I need me a doer.
let me tell you something. A doer is a blessing. He's a blessing. It's
Listen.
a gift, honey. It's a gift. And so but I will when he's in the kitchen doing something, he might be cleaning the fridge, he might be doing whatever. And I will sit in that chair and we'll just talk while he's doing.
Yeah.
And we actually talk more then than we do when we're just
Mhm.
sitting around. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so it's become like a thing now. That's how we it's like kind of come in. We just kind of meet in the kitchen, and he's most of the time on his feet doing something that I'm like, I'm not even sure we need to do that right now, but he's doing it, and I'm sitting there and I'm recounting my day or asking him how what he, we're just talking, and so you find ways that work to bring together the different communication styles
Yeah.
with people that you're in relationship with, and
Yeah.
like we've been saying, it's not a competition.
Mhm.
It's not who's better than the other. It really is allowing people to be who they are in the moments that you have together, and finding the ways in which to connect those things,
Yeah.
and allowing people to shine when it's time for them to shine, and and
Absolutely, yes.
bringing yourself back when it's time for you to be brought back. Like
Yeah.
that is important. And but first it really is understanding who you are and who others are. Like take
Yeah.
a minute and step back and understand people. And don't
Mhm.
judge them.
Yeah.
Don't make assumptions. Give them what they need. And so that again, going back to what we were talking about at the beginning, understand that all things start with communication.
Yeah.
Everything begins with communication. And if you
Yeah.
get this wrong, you will not get relationships right at all.
Mm.
You can't
Yeah.
get relationships right if you get communication wrong. And
Yeah.
so it's so critical to spend the time needed with yourself and with others to understand how to do this well.
Mhm.
And I think it's a reality. We live in a world where communication has become cheapened
Mhm.
through social media, through texting sometimes, um,
Mhm.
through these. We have all these different. I'm not saying those things are effective, but
Yeah.
oftentimes we use them in ways where it's ineffective, and we
Yeah.
use the wrong medium for the wrong message.
Yeah.
There's too many conversations that happen on the gram that need to happen in person,
My
and
lord.
we do that because there's no way for you to understand how this person is internalizing this. If you
Yeah.
understood the person you're talking to on the other end of the phone is feeling first, you might give them a little
Mhm.
grace for the words that come out first. But if you don't understand that, it just sounds like they're just being irrational and emotional, and now you're being dismissive. When
Yeah.
if you were in actual relationship with them, and you understand, oh, okay, this is just them getting it out. They are actually
Mhm.
This is them feeling something, and then once that has happened, give them some more space, and maybe I'll understand a little bit more because I'm a thinker and I'm not getting
Yeah,
where you're coming from. But on a comment in a comment section, you're never getting that. And so
absolutely.
we're I think we've entered into a world where communication is cheapened, and if we do that for too long, we'll end up devaluing it. And that is and so when you begin to devalue communication, you will find yourself beginning to devalue people. And that's
Yeah,
when things start to go awry. So
yeah,
we just want to be like we want to be careful about that. Everything is everything starts with communication.
absolutely. I think I want to go back to a point about movers and how when you have to know. I think that these, again, these are called life languages. I think that these life languages, behavioral languages, ways of communication, it also shows you what is important to a person,
Yeah.
right? And so movers are really going to prioritize action, right? And they are judging things based off of how people have moved. And they are also not just judging people off of the ways that they move, but they are also when they are trying to communicate to you the value that they're bringing to your life, they're often going to think about the things that they have done for you, are ways that they have acted on your behalf,
Mm,
right? Because they're always doing something on someone's behalf,
mm,
right? And so when we think about how we appreciate people, or what we show people appreciation for, right? Like, I really want to be appreciated for how I inspire and motivate people, right? Because I am, again, think that inspiration is thought and feeling together.
yeah.
That's what it is. I'm going to use my thoughts and my feelings to inspire your thoughts and feelings, right? And that's what I want to be appreciated, right?
Mm,
People who are contemplators, right, have put so much time and effort, right, into the words that they say, and the ways that they communicate, and the things that they produce from their long periods of contemplation, right? They want to be appreciated for that.
mm,
Doers want to be appreciated for how they just keep going and going and going and going, right? They may not ask for that appreciation, but from the people who are close to them, people want to be seen,
yeah.
right? And people want to be understood. A mover wants you to know that they gave everything they had to answer a need that you had,
Yeah.
to respond to a need that you had, with indeterminate action, with action that was with everything that they had. They gave it to you.
Yeah.
And they want to be understood like that. They
Yeah.
want to be understood as, this is a person who will act on my behalf. A responder wants to be known as a person that, this is a person that will sit with me and allow me to give them my most vulnerable person,
Mm,
to give them my most vulnerable self, and they will create a safe place. They want to be known for that.
yeah.
And so you have to create spaces in your life for people to be great.
That's good. That's good. That's good. This was good. Thank you, Jaquita, for bringing this knowledge to the audience, to me.
One of my favorite books, I'm now going to go back and reread it, even though I should be writing something for my dissertation.
Maybe you'll be inspired by it, I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe,
I
maybe not.
probably will be, but
You
will
might
it be
be.
about Black women and mentorship? It could be.
It could
It
be.
could.
It could.
It
Seriously.
could.
For real.
I'm going to read it. Hmm.
All right, y'all. All right. I think we're done. We're done. We're done. Um,
Yay.
and we are as always, please like, share, and subscribe. Um, and let us know what you're thinking, if this was valuable to you, if you've learned something. And we will see y'all next time, guys. Until then, let's keep on learning together. We'll experience more freedom. Peace.
Bye, y'all.